Welcome to the Year 1 Writing Workshop. I'm sorry we can't do this in person. Hopefully in the spring we'll be able to see you in the real world. So we're going to do it virtually today. Our workshop is going to look at the year group expectations for writing. We're going to look at the Talk for Writing scheme that we use at school, which we've already shared some during our live lessons with you. Look at how we teach grammar and punctuation, spelling and handwriting at the Ox Academy. So this page here just gives you the targets that your children are working towards for the end of the year. You can look at that at your own time. They're basically split up into grammar and punctuation, things like being able to use capital letters and full stops, and question marks and exclamation marks in the summer. Composition, so building up from being able to write letters and simple words and phrases, to in the summer putting a recount together with sentences in a chronological order and adding more interest to their words. And then the transcription, which is to do with how they spell and how they present their writing. So starting at the beginning of the year with being able to write their names and producing meaningful marks, through to in the summer making sure their letters are correctly formed and they're using finger spaces between their words. At the Ox Academy and all of the Catalyst schools, we use Talk for Writing to teach our literacy lessons, which was developed by a gentleman called Corbett. This has 3 main stages: the immersion stage, the innovation stage and the event stage. So during the immersion, which happens in the first week of teaching a new text, children learn a text or a type of text in detail so they can use it as a scaffold for their own writing. This could be an oral story, for example, Monkey See, Monkey Do. It could be one of our media units, for example, Slippery Tale, or a non-fiction text, for example, a non-chronological report. So obviously, whilst we were doing our live lessons with you, we were doing our Spider, which would be an example of an oral story. During the immerse stage, activities could include things like learning the story by heart for using actions for support, drawing a story map, so you will have seen this before, that's the story map we did for our Spider. Could be using some drama activities, or it could be writing in role, for example, pretending they are a character and writing a letter or a diary entry. When we get to the innovate stage, that's when we use the structure of the text that they now know really well to adapt it and begin to write their own version. So to support this in year 1, we use a lot of storyboards and story maps, and we will eventually move on to using a box it up process, where they are given text from the original story, for example, the opener, and then they would write their own ideas for an opener. On here is an example again of a storyboard, which was the one we used during the live lessons for how we would adapt our Spider into our Bumblebee. Once the children have created their plan, they then use their plan to write an extended text over a number of days. We usually write our stories or our new text over 4 to 5 days, so usually the second week of the unit. Every day the teacher models writing a section of the text so we can demonstrate key vocabulary, suitable sentence types and punctuation, and we also highlight any misconceptions we may have noticed from previous bits of writing and model the correct handwriting style. This might include if it's a word that lots of children are spelling wrong that we know they're going to use. It could be missing capital letters and full stops. It could be, again, not using capital letters for a character's name. All of those things we would model while we're doing that, and we would get the children to help us by giving us their ideas so they can see them incorporated into a text. The final stage in the process is the invent stage, where children extend their understanding of the text further through invention. For example, they might write an alternative ending for a story that they know, or they could change the situation the character finds themselves in. When we're doing non-fiction genres, we can invent them by using them in other areas of curriculum. For example, we will be writing this term a non-chronological report about different types of animals in science. Grammar and punctuation in year 1 is mainly taught in our starters, in early morning work, but also through our modelled writing. We assess it half-termly, with areas that we've found with lots of children making mistakes. We address those the following half term. So at the moment we're really focusing on capital letters and full stops being in the right places, but we're also starting to stretch children who know that to start thinking about where else you might use capital letters or using alternative punctuation, for example exclamation marks and question marks. Spelling in year 1, we teach that daily as part of our read writing phonics sessions. So it links their phonics knowledge developed in reception to what we're now teaching in year 1. We have weekly assessments of 8 spellings which are based on a phonics sound or a spelling rule, but also 2 high frequency words, which are words that are not necessarily ones that you can sound out. We've just been doing the numbers to 20, and we will be moving on to, for example, the days of the week and the months of the year. Activities that we do in school include identifying simple spelling errors in a sentence and also using their phonics to spell words during writing tasks. However, there are other ways we learn spellings. For example, many of the children now use spelling shed each week. There's a bit of a rivalry between all of the classes to see which classes can go on there the most, but actually, as well as that, it's obviously improving the children's spelling as they manipulate the letters. We also put our spellings on purple mash each week, so you have the look, cover, write, check structure that you can see at the bottom of the page, where the children would read a word, cover it up and have a go, and do that over 5 different days. Also, you could create the words into a word search at home. I know there are certain websites where you can do that for free, but even just having the letters, magnetic letters if you got them, or cutting the words up and moving them around, the more different ways the children practice their spellings, the more likely those spelling rules are to embed at the moment. So playing spelling games with the words, can you make them anagrams of the words, can they unjumble them, missing letters, all of those things will help them to practice those spelling rules. At Dilts Academy, we use a joint handwriting scheme which has a lead-in stroke, which is taught from nursery upwards as soon as they start learning how to form letters. They practice joining their writing in handwriting sessions, which we have every day, as well as seeing it being modelled when we are doing teachers of modelling. And this just shows you how we form the letters with the flicks at the start. So each letter starts with a flick, and then many of them also end with a flick, so that once we start joining, it's much easier because they just start moving the letters closer together, and actually naturally they progress to joining. Things you can support your children with at home. There's obviously the weekly homework tasks, which if you want to could be extended by asking your child then to write a piece of text using the rule they've been learning. So for example, if we've been practicing using adjectives, could they maybe find a favourite TV programme or a computer game they could describe, what they could see out of the window using adjectives, a favourite character in a book, or even the story they've just been reading. The weekly spelling practice. There are many different websites that have got punctuation and grammar activities online, and I've given you some links on the next slide. Also, just for at the moment, as we go for school, just regular writing practice. So that, for example, that could be keeping a diary, writing a report about a football match. If they get a new toy or a favourite toy, it could be writing a description of it, which could be linked with pictures at the moment rather than it being all writing. And also, for example, writing for a purpose. So it could be writing a thank you letter for a gift they've received, or an invitation to somebody if they want them to come around to play. And finally, we've given you some useful websites. The Oxford Owl website, which is the first one, has lots of advice on grammar for year 1, and also a bit further down they do handwriting activities as well. Top Marks have lots of different games that children can play. BBC Bite Size have instructional videos and then activities that you can do after that. And the Deep Teach Handwriting website at the bottom again has lots of practical advice on things you can do at home for handwriting. I hope this has been helpful. If there's any questions from it, obviously the teachers are available, or you can email in at the end of the day, or put questions into reading diaries and we'll feed back to you as quickly as we can and get back to you with the answers. Thank you for listening. Bye.